Welcome back to the Marianne Hickman Show. Listen, I was just at the farmer's market this last weekend. My daughter has a booth there. We love going there. And if you know me, you know that I'm raising my kids in as much of an entrepreneurial spirit and action as I possibly can. And today's topic is very much around that, especially in terms of online marketing. But I have to tell you what happened at the farmer's market. I was down there with my daughter, and a friend of mine walks by right in front of our booth. And I yell out his name because I'm sure it's him. I recognize him, but then he passes by and now I'm less sure that it's him. He came back and he said, "Hey, thank you for recording your podcast." And I thought, wow, how cool is it that I got to meet with someone who is listening to the show? And so if you're listening to the show, first of all, thank you. I hope this is really beneficial for you. My goal is to bring the maximum value per minute that I can through my natural curiosity about my guests. And today's conversation, we go from everywhere from purple cows to ROAS to authenticity to just everything in marketing. And the reason I love Becca's content so much is that unlike many other marketers out there, she understands the concept that marketing needs to have a return on investment. Marketing without any proof that it's working is just exhausting reels that you and I have to make on social media all day long. And if we're not enjoying it, we talk about that too. And if we're not having fun doing it, and if it's not turning a profit, then it's time to shift some gears. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Becca Tilley. I will see you right in the episode. Okay, so you're on this heli shoot.
Yeah.
And the dust storm kicks up. What were we talking about before that?
No, I can't remember exactly where we were talking about marketing.
Well, yes. Oh, the views. When the views are important.
The views.
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea is on social media, people are going to social media to be entertained. Right. So
okay, say that again.
People go to social media to be entertained. Nobody's like standing in line, at the grocery store and like, oh, I think I want to be, educated right now. So I'm going to go on and start swiping. Right.
I just did it all wrong. No, seriously. I'm just like, I'm probably bored by my own feed.
Right. Well, people are looking for the dopamine hit. Right.
Yeah.
And you like look at Instagram. Ultimately, Instagram's main goal is to get people coming back.
Yeah.
So the algorithm,
they want them to stay. Like a casino.
Right. Yep. And they call it the dope lab at Instagram.
Do they really?
There's people there that are literally going through trying to figure out how can we hit people with the biggest amount of dopamine and how can we get them to want it to come back over and over.
When
again.
you say dope lab, all I can think of is
that's exactly what it is, right? So if you can provide that hit to an audience, the algorithm is automatically going to reward that.
Now, when you say algorithm, I didn't mean to cut you off, but okay. I've grown to detest this word algorithm because in high school math, I knew what algorithm meant. And now it means something different. So when you say the algorithm does its thing, and please don't forget your thought because I want to get into it. The algorithm, tell me if I'm wrong, has basically said the algorithm, the big algorithm in the sky, the algorithm gods, they're just the things that understand human behavior. So human behavior is what drives the algorithm, not this magic stock market invisible thing, right?
Right. Instagram has put together this series of ratios and numbers and data to say, hey, if all these things are hit, then push these videos. So it's all dependent on what they feel is valuable. Ultimately, how do I keep more people on Instagram longer?
But it's based on this human consumptive behavior.
Well, because ultimately people are the audience.
Yeah.
So so if you are good at entertaining people, good at capturing people's attention, you will be good on social media.
It's a lot of pressure.
Totally. It's hard. And it's really hard for, specifically in the coaching space.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of educational value, which has its place 100%. But people go to the platform to be entertained. If you're not entertaining, it's tough to get the views. So to your question, are views important? Yes, because if you could put out the best content in the world and get 2 people to see it, who cares? Right?
I see you.
But if I can be really entertaining and I can get, 6 million views, and then my next post, I qualify that traffic with really good content. Okay, now I got in front of 6 million people. Only, let's say 100 of those people are really even my target audience. But I'm not going to get to those people if I don't get the views.
So it is like, what I hear you saying is it's like taking the funnel that we all know in business, right? Yep. It's audience becomes leads, become customers. You're taking this audience section of the funnel and you're stretching it out and saying, okay, there's more to this layer of audience than just one component.
Yep.
We're saying eyeballs of people that are dopamine hit in some way entertained by your stuff. And then the next layer is the people that are not only entertained, but are around long enough to be as a coaching perspective, specifically educated. Yep. Right. And then what? We've got entertainment, maybe a level of education or edutainment, right?
Yeah.
And then what?
Hey, what's up? Marianne Hickman here. Listen, I'm interrupting my own show because I want to give you something. Now, you guys all want to get on more stages. I've got a free resource for you of stages that are just clamoring for guests. They need guests on a daily, weekly, sometimes monthly basis. This is my podcast database. Now, what I'm going to do is have you go to mariannehickman.com/database. Once you put in your information there, I'm going to send this to you totally for free. Open up this database. You're going to click through it, find the next podcast that's relevant to your topic, hit the application button, show up on their podcast, get in front of their people, and share your content. Remember, mariannehickman.com/database. Let's get you unlocked.
Well, so we need to get the eyes, right? Like I said, so we get 6 million followers, and then we hit them with some kind of piece of content, education, that's going to qualify them. That may only be relevant to those 100 people. Right? But that's who we're trying to target. So those 100 people are going to resonate with that value that you've given. And those are your buyers, ultimately. So that's how you're kind of shaping, like trimming the fat. So the views are important at first because you're never going to get, again, to those 100 people unless you get the
600 or 600,000 first.
Right.
Yeah.
So eyes first and then qualify the traffic because that's ultimately you care about your buyers.
Okay. So I know this isn't true, but when I first hear you say that, I'm just like, I'm not a comedian. Do I have to go back to do I have to learn to be funny? But entertainment is more than just laughter, although I do find that those are the reels that I share the most.
Oh, absolutely.
Like my husband will think this is hilarious. His inbox, it took us an hour to go through his inbox yesterday of all the reels that I had sent. But okay, tell me about how do I become entertaining as a coach?
Yeah. So Mr. Beast, you know who he is?
Yeah,
He calls this the purple cow theory. But
it's always purple.
Yeah.
It's always purple.
You have to have a purple cow kind of content. If you saw a purple cow out in the meadow, immediately you're like, you see it, you notice it, and you're like, why is there a purple cow?
Yeah.
You immediately have this curiosity, which is called like the curiosity gap that you've produced. It stands out. You want to talk about it, right? So many questions coming up. So you have to have something that basically no one's ever done before. It needs to be something that if you aren't a dancer or you're not a comedian, then don't do that. But you still have to find what's unique about you and create that purple cow thing that you can be remembered for, which is tricky to find, especially in the coaching space.
Yeah. Okay. So how do I find it?
That's
Diagnose me, Becca. Teach me, make me better.
It's hard. It takes a lot of brainstorming. And the easiest way to do it is to kind of pair things that are that may not go together.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know who Adley is.
I was just thinking her.
Yeah.
When you said that, I was like,
she does this so
she pulls
well.
these two things from her head. It's so entertaining.
So the video that I've seen of her, right? She does she has a birth control, or not birth control, a pregnancy test, and she's like, "Oh, do you have a hammer?" And she just starts talking while she's hammering this pregnancy test.
Yeah.
But you're like, why am I watching this? I don't even.
What are we doing?
But it's two things that you would never expect to see together, right? That draw the curiosity, that draw the attention.
So should I be doing that? Should I just try it and see what happens?
Absolutely.
And be like, here's peanut butter on my dog.
Yep.
We did do that, actually.
We tried that once. We put the dog up on the counter in the background, just licking a plate of peanut butter in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the kitchen counter.
Yeah.
Up on the kitchen counter.
Yep.
And she was in the kitchen.
Yep.
That reel did okay.
Yeah.
I think it did okay.
We at least got over 1,000 views on that one. It did better than the others.
Yeah. So if you think about that though, peanut butter, dog, they go together.
Yeah. Okay, so we need
Right.
like peanut butter and airplanes.
But it was the dog on the counter. That's the that doesn't go together.
Sure.
Right?
Who lets
I
a
mean,
dog
I
on
don't
the
know.
Sure.
Like that guy that put his toothbrush next to his shoes. Remember that?
I've seen that.
This thing blew up because he was packing for a trip and he put his open raw toothbrush in his suitcase next to the sole of his shoes. And the comments were like, "Brr." But okay, so here's, and maybe I'm the only one that thinks this way, but there's part of me that feels like I'm bait and switching people.
Totally.
Right?
And this is what I was going to touch on too, is you don't want to be gimmicky. with
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
So lots of people will just like the mic that they're holding will be something goofy, like something you wouldn't notice. And people know, like
Yeah.
it just feels fake.
Yeah.
Right. So it needs to be associated. And this is where it becomes really difficult. You don't want to take two random things that have nothing related to what you're doing, pair them together just to get views.
But Adley can do it because she's a marketer.
Right.
That's her shtick.
That
It
is
fits.
her thing. Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep. So you just have to figure out what that thing is. So for Keaton, often it's a helicopter,
Yeah, that's his thing.
right? Yeah.
Right.
And so like we've planned shoots like where we were going to do like his barber is going to cut his hair in the back of the heli,
Yeah.
right? Like things like that. You
Does he
just
push back
aren't-
on that?
No, he's like, let's do it. Yeah.
Let's have fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Most
maybe
of those
that's
were
the
his
key.
ideas.
Really?
Yeah. He's ready to go.
So maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
the key is something in your niche, right? That makes sense for what you do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Have fun doing it,
Absolutely.
but bring in some pizzazz,
Yeah.
some confetti or something like
that's
that.
and like when I bring on content creation clients, is the same thing. I'm qualifying them. Like, listen, if you're not good on camera or you can't have fun, I'm not taking you, because 90% of how well your page is going to do is on how good of a content creator you are. And that's the same thing with
Wow.
Keaton. I'll send Keaton some clips, or maybe they don't perform well, and he's like, that's on me.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's like 100%. I mean, the person pointing the camera, right, is 10% of the equation.
yeah.
If the content sucks, there's nothing capturing that moment can do to save you.
Well, and I think that as the person in front of the camera, that's probably where the burnout happens.
Oh yeah.
Because if you're also not having fun and you're bored
It's
by
the
your own content,
worst. It's the worst for everyone involved.
yeah,
Even the content creation team. I have clients where literally my team's coming back and being like, can we please fire them? Like, they are the worst to work with.
oh, not because they're jerks or buttholes, but they're
No.
just like
They're dead on
Bored.
camera. Dead on it. Which I understand. I feel like I am awful on camera. And so
Are you
like,
kidding? This is one of the most fun I've had. Like we've done like 12 episodes in the past week. I'm having a blast right now. I think you got your stuff all wrong.
I appreciate that.
I'm not scrolling on my phone right now.
Yeah, there you go. Stop.
You just unveiled yourself to an entire. Every guest is going to come in and be like, what can I do to keep Richard off of this?
Oh, crap.
Okay. So, and I want to do this for real. I'm kind of cheating and I'm getting free mentoring from you right now. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So one of the things that we just talked about this morning, we just had an event about a month ago. Featured incredible speakers on stage, and we did interviews in the back to help with their sizzle reels.
Yeah.
So one of our interviewees, her name is Nicole. What's up, Nicole? She's so funny.
Yeah.
She's hilarious. I love listening to her. Have you ever read the book The Help or seen the movie? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are some spunky personalities in there, and she's got that spunky personality. I love it.
That's amazing.
So she was on stage and she was doing such an incredible job. And when she was doing the interview, one of the things, what did she say in the interview? Richard did those interviews. You can remember, right?
Yeah, so we weren't even rolling yet, but she was just talking about you and bragging about you, and she was just like,
Just so nice.
she was talking about the splits that you did on stage, and she was like, I can't believe she does
splits on stage.
I do. I open every event with that.
every event.
Yeah.
She jumps up in the air and then lands in a split, and she's like, it's so amazing that she does that, and she looks so good. She had 6 kids. It's not fair, and all this and that.
You're too nice, Nicole.
And I was just like, well, you don't even know the half of it. On our last baby is 2 years old, and when Marianne was about 10 weeks out from giving birth, she did that on stage once.
What?
I
Yeah.
didn't jump. I was a little like crawling down there. I have a really cool picture of it. And so when you saying all this, the reason I
Yeah.
bring that up is not to pat myself on the back and say how cool I am.
Yeah.
But that I'm wondering, like, maybe that's something. I love gymnastics. I love acro yoga. I love being a gymnast, and I do that. I open every event that way, mostly because the audience is so bored
Totally.
that they're like, and I'm like, we need to do something new. We got to do something extra, and I do it with every show. So maybe that's like, what do I do with this?
100%. No,
I feel like that's something. You
Yeah,
have something to
that's
work with.
awesome. Yeah, 100%. So it's like, what if we're doing the splits in different locations that are like, the first thought, this is kind of, please don't do this, but like,
Maybe I should.
the thought is like, what if you were doing the splits like between two buildings, right? Almost like the parkour kind of vibe, but like you're doing the splits between two buildings and you're just delivering your line of content, whatever your educational value is.
Yeah.
But now I'm coming in and I'm stopping like, whoa, like how is she doing this? Why is she doing this? And I'm like actually getting content now, like actual value from this reel, right? But it gets me to stop because it's an interesting thing that I've never seen before.
Okay, so what you just gifted for me was you made me think. And when I'm on social media and I'm bored, I'll scroll away.
Yeah.
And then I realize when I'm on stage and I'm bored or the audience is bored, this is what I do. So maybe we should all be asking as entrepreneurs and coaches, what do I do when I'm bored?
Oh, yeah.
How do I cure the boredness? Throw up a camera.
Yep.
And do that and then teach. Is that is that the formula?
I mean, I think that's a great way to get started. It totally depends. That's something super unique, which is amazing.
Yeah. That's such a high pressure question. Do what makes you unique. And I'm like,
yeah, no, it totally is. And it's even for myself, like I haven't found that thing yet for me because in my mind, I'm like, I'm pretty vanilla. Like I don't have
I just thought that about myself this morning.
Yeah.
I was getting ready for the show and I was like, she's a marketer. She's an expert. I don't even feel like I'm that opinionated. Like, do I have any strong opinions? I don't know. Do I? Maybe I should ask him.
You just look away.
Yes, you have strong opinions.
Will you tell me sometime what they are? Because I feel like I'm so vanilla.
Yeah.
I'm just conservative mom of 6 that's like.
Yeah. And it's something I think that you often can ask other people because what I find is it's really difficult to find it in yourself. Easier to find it in other people, right? Like I can go and I can pick out unique things that I don't see anywhere else that person might add value, doing that thing. But for yourself, it's a little more challenging. So asking people, getting feedback, I think is a great way to start that process.
Yeah.
Start brainstorming it.
Oh, that's really smart. Just text your friends. This is your value from today.
Yeah.
Text your 5 closest friends and say, what makes me so cool?
Yeah. What makes me unique?
Maybe I need a little pat on the back sometimes,
Yeah.
but what makes me interesting?
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask, you're clearly an expert in marketing, in attention, in conversions, which I love about you. Why did you start all this?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like I said before, the biggest thing is that I was an entrepreneur. Growing up, my dad was an entrepreneur. And
What did he do?
All kinds.
All the things my dad
All
too.
the things. Yeah. Kind of ended up landing in buying and scaling dental practices.
Really? Okay.
But so from a very early age, he would always say, you can either be the queen bee or the worker bee. And those are kind of your 2 options. So you could go work at McDonald's, in high school and, make some money. Or you can find a way to make 5 times that and be your own boss. And so I started breeding dogs.
Did you really? I did not know that. Wow.
And I loved it. And I made lots of money doing it. And so I didn't have to go work at McDonald's and I was my own boss. And so it was, I was probably like 23 or 24 and somebody had shown me a timesheet and I was like, what is that?
No kidding.
I'd never had an actual, job before.
Wow. Well, and I want to say this because I don't want to throw shade on people that have jobs.
Totally.
I used to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you have a job? And I used to have jobs.
Sure.
And honestly, this might be the way to get that first money that you're talking about. So if you need money, then, and you want to hire a marketer and you want to be an entrepreneur, maybe a job is a zigzag.
Totally.
For you. So
it can be.
Go get that job at McDonald's and go. Those jobs are needed and they're necessary. Go work in an office. Go find a job with an entrepreneur that you want to become one day. Work for them for a little while as kind of a paid intern, right? Apply. and then use that money to start your own thing. So
that can be a route for sure. I think, speaking of, strong opinions.
Yeah, do it. Give it to me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very much on the opposite side of that where I can't remember who the quote's by, but it's basically like, if you don't work for your own dreams, someone else will pay you to work for theirs.
Amen to that. And that's what eventually kicked me out of my job.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was an entrepreneur. I wasn't.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times that the getting a job route may be due to a lack of confidence in yourself, right? Money is everywhere. There's always ways to make money. And if you are scared to do that or don't feel like you have yet developed the skill set to be able to do that, in my mind, going and working for somebody else isn't the way to develop that, right? It's kind of biting the bullet. It's putting the risk on you. It's like you jumped out of an airplane and you're trying to like build the airplane on your way down.
On the way down. Yeah.
Which is scary.
Yeah.
But it also kind of puts your back against the wall and like it's do or die.
Yeah.
You got to make it happen.
Well, one of my jobs was in sales. So it was kind of a hybrid.
Yeah.
I was selling for somebody else, but it was commission only. So I only
100%
ate what I
Right.
killed, as
Totally.
they say in the sales world, right?
Totally.
So for me, that was it was a 1099 W-2 mess of a hybrid, but it was the thing that built my confidence in saying, okay, I can
Absolutely.
close $100,000 product. Maybe I should just make my own $100,000 product, right?
Oh, yeah.
So maybe if you're going to go into sales, maybe get a job
Totally.
to get that
That's fair.
funding. I think sales, especially door knocking, like you were saying
yeah.
earlier, if you can get out there and you can live on commission, then you can be an entrepreneur.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Easy. And that's like, if you're good at sales, I mean, it's the cheat code to life. If you are good at communicating value is ultimately what sales is, right?
Yeah.
If you're good at doing that, then you could have anything.
Yeah. I'll never forget the guy who came to my mom's front door and he sold Advantage home cleaning spray. And this guy was such a great salesman. I love a great salesman because you don't feel sold to.
Oh, right.
He came up to the little handle that was on the door to our garage and he sprayed that spray on it and cleaned it. It's been dirty for 20 years. Right. And my mom's like, give me 5. Right.
Done.
And the lesson I learned from him, and I wish I could remember his name. I was 10. So if you're out there, thank you. He said the lesson is leave value before you leave the doorstep.
Yep.
Right. And I think that's with marketing too. When you're in marketing, if you withhold or you gatekeep all of the value, then
It's the worst.
it does. It leaves us feeling like, oh, I have to go through a paywall to get to you and to get value. I don't even know if I want to yet.
Right. It doesn't
Right?
build trust.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So what is your opinion? What is your mind on how much value to put out there before the paywall comes up? Because we don't want to hit the extreme of, I have one of my students who mentors and teaches all the time because she wants to, but she's not charging for it when I think she should be because your business needs to be sustained. So is there a line? I was asking about this yesterday. Is there a line? Where do you think it is?
I think that education should be free. Implementation should cost money.
There it is. Okay, teach me on that.
So I give away everything.
Yeah.
Right. In coaching groups and things, if you came to me and you said, hey, I have no money, but here's where I'm trying to get to, I'll tell you everything. I'll teach you everything I know on how to get there. If you want me to do it based on just my expertise to give you your time back, then I'll charge for it. Right. But education should be free. You can get it anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going to be able to build trust with you. So if I go into a conversation saying, hey, I'll give you everything, I'll teach you how to do it. And that will build immediate trust, right? Value given. And then we're going to get into it and be like, whoa, this is so much stuff that I don't know how to do. I don't have the time to go learn all of it. I'm going to find money to pay you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So I think that the money always follows the value.
So when you're an entrepreneur or a coach, the minute you start charging is when it starts taking your time. Right? Which is a big clue that says when you're teaching, teach publicly.
Right.
right? So record it, put it on YouTube,
Yep.
put it on TikTok, put it wherever.
Mhm.
Teach not just one-to-one, but one-to-many.
Yep.
So the DIY is free.
Yep.
And then when Becca starts saying, okay, you need me to hold your hand or you need me to just take over and do it,
Right.
that's the paywall,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
How do you, okay, I want to go back to a pricing discussion.
Okay.
Richard gave me this really cool formula, and I want to know how you decide your pricing and your dollars per hour. So Richard, when we were first starting out, he said, decide the number of dollars you want to make in a year, divide it by the number of weeks you want to work in a year, divided by the number of hours you to work, and that's your rate. In other words, how do you decide your pricing?
Yeah. Like pricing that I'm charging clients.
Yeah. If I need to write you a $50,000 check, how did you decide it was $50,000?
That is a great question. Mostly based on the value that I know I can bring, right? So ultimately, I mean, it's very often that I'm outpricing other agencies.
So, in other words, you're not the cheapest.
No,
Yeah.
not by a long shot. And that's fine. At the end of the day, like if you're looking for cheap marketing, there's lots
There's
of
plenty of
places
it.
you can go. Yeah.
And there's no shame in that either.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you got to start somewhere. Just again, be very mindful and be careful when you're picking those kinds of agencies, and don't sign a long-term
stories behind that face.
Don't pick a long-term, contract, one that's giving you. I worked for an agency right out of college for about 9 months until I was like, I can't handle working for somebody anymore, so I'm done. I'm out of here. But they brought on lots of clients where I knew immediately, it's like, we can't get these guys results based on the budget that they have and like their product that kind of sucks. Like I know we can't perform for them, but they didn't
care.
Bring them on. Yep. Just keep the money flowing.
Oh,
And
that hurts my stomach.
it's the worst. It's the worst. But unfortunately that happens a lot, pretty frequently. So I would just be very careful and vet them a lot to make sure that they're involved and invested in, your growth and stuff. And I lost my train of thought where we were going with that.
Well, but your pricing. How do you decide your pricing?
Okay, yeah, the pricing. So yeah, not the cheapest. Sometimes you got to start smaller, but ultimately, again, I know that if I can't perform for you, then you're not going to have the money to pay me. So mine is priced based off of the value that I can bring, right? I know in particular niches with particular clients, if it's the right fit, that I can 10x their business in 90 days. That value is also dependent. I mean, we do a full audit to understand how much money they're making, what their products are worth. And can I make you more money than what you're paying me? And so it has to be that fair valuation. So, that's just with some clients.
You're not going to charge $50K if it doesn't make sense.
Right. And that's not just like a blanket. That's totally dependent on, as a business grows, I'm growing with them, right? Is ultimately the pricing structure. So sometimes it's percentages. So generally, like my base rate is like, we do $3K per channel or 10% of ad spend.
But you have to know whether or not you can justify and give up the $3K for the better of the 10%. Right.
Right. Well, so it's whichever is greater. So if a business is only spending like $3K in ad spend, then I have the $3K retainer. But if they're spending $1 million in ad spend, now it makes more sense to go based off of a percentage, because obviously the business needs to make money, and so the value is so dependent on the business, what stage they're at, and how good their product or service is. I tell people all the time, if you have a crappy product or a crappy service, marketing isn't going to help you.
It's not going to fix that.
Right. Yeah. It's not the spark, right? So marketing is more like the gasoline. So if you have a product or service that is amazing, it's the highest value, right? It's the spark. Okay, now let's dump gasoline on it, and now it's going to take off.
So how do I know if I have a sparky enough product? Obviously, we as entrepreneurs, we don't open up business unless we have at least some level of confidence in our product. We think it's great, but it doesn't matter if I think it's great unless anybody else thinks it's great, So, and it might be a great product, but it's in front of the wrong eyeball. So I don't have proof that it's great. In other words, like a lot of coaches and entrepreneurs have probably sat down just like I have and said, am I actually doing any good?
Yeah.
Do I have a product that's actually worthwhile? Because the results might not show that. And maybe it's because I'm not in front of the eyeballs that also see it as valuable. And take this example. I saw this on Instagram. There's this dude out of his college dorm room that makes $10K a month, writing messages on a potato.
I saw that, yeah.
Right?
Yep,
And sending them out. And I
Yep.
was like, if this dude can write messages on a potato and make $10,000 a month, I don't think that's a fantastic product. But now here I am talking about it.
Right.
But other people think it's funny enough to invest. So first of all, how do I know that I have a good product? And second of all, how do I get in front of people who think it the same thing as I do?
Yeah. I mean, social media, right? And his cost to do that, almost nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's like $7 in shipping and supplies maybe per potato.
Yeah. So easy.
Yeah.
Are you good at getting attention? Great.
Now we're back to attention again.
And so that it's like maybe the product isn't valuable, but it is providing value because it's engaging and it's entertaining and people want it regardless of the actual value that it's providing.
So it's a determination of what is valuable to the right person.
Right. To the
Playing
right
a
person.
prank. I had at one time a prank budget
Oh, yeah.
that I would just invest in pranking people.
That's amazing.
Heather has been the biggest recipient of that. Like I would buy her Nicolas Cage stuff. Just like her house is full.
That's a good prank.
It's just of stuff, right? But so there's value in entertainment.
Yep.
There's value in transformation. Now let's talk. This leads perfectly into ROAS. There's so many entrepreneurs out there that don't want to admit that they don't know what this is because we're so good and smart at what we do, and we're so business stupid.
Yep.
Let's just admit it once in a while. Teach me about ROAS because it's so important in terms of the money I invest in my business and the return.
Yep. So return on ad spend, right, is what we're talking about.
That's ROAS, return on ad spend.
Yep, ROAS.
S, that's what I said.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, it's a ratio or percentage that is helping me understand, is my investment worth it, right? Is the ROI there? The numbers there are kind of tricky because it just depends on every industry. The averages and the numbers are a little bit different. But it's an important number to know and understand, to see if your ad dollars really are, if they make sense. Ultimately, looking at ROI, and sales dollars coming in based on the number of dollars that you're investing. Really, businesses should be spending around 10% of their revenue, of their gross revenue, back into marketing.
So if I make $100 on a product, $10 of that is going back
Should go
into
to
ads.
marketing. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
What if people aren't doing ads? Like they're not buying Facebook ads, they're not buying billboards, they're not doing any of that. Are they just not marketing, or like what do we do with that? Should they be marketing? And what about the upfront? Because man, we've done Facebook ads and we've sucked at them
Right.
for the first little bit because Facebook and us we're still dating each other. We're still learning about each other,
Right.
and so we'll spend $300 on Facebook ads and get nothing.
Right.
But I also don't think it's time to stop at that point. What's
Right.
your perspective or philosophy on for the first time?
Yeah, you have to test everything. Again, you're working with a third party platform where you don't understand. Like Facebook, it's the same with Google. You can go to conferences where like the Google reps are teaching you about the algorithm, but they are under contract that they cannot tell you specifics about it.
No
Because
kidding.
if everybody knew the exact details that makes the algorithm, everybody just cheats the system. So ultimately, they're preaching create really good content that people want to stay and interact with, right? But we don't know the details exactly. So everything is just about testing. How quickly can you test? I have a big sign on my wall that just says fail faster. Because if I can fail faster than everybody else, I'm going to know more than everybody else. I'm going to know what works more than everybody else. So you have to test like crazy. Usually I'll put around $1,500 towards a test. That number is really where it gives me enough data back from Facebook to understand if this is working or not. If you're doing under that, you're really not getting good enough data to know.
I would consider that better than a college education. I would say I would submit. I remember writing checks for tuition for college.
Oh yeah.
It was about $1,500
Yep.
for a semester. And then I had to buy books on top of that. And then I had to pay for housing on top of that.
Yep.
So I just want to say, if you're listening to this and you're like, $1,500, how could I ever?
It's an investment.
You know, like if college kids can do this, then we can do this.
Yep.
You're going to, the return on that investment might not be immediate dollars.
Yep.
It's going to be, how do I make the next $1,500 10x?
Right.
So go into it with $3K. Right. Use the first half of that to pay your tuition, learn all of the things, and then the next half of that. Am I understanding this right?
Oh, absolutely.
To grow and 10x it.
Yep. Well, and I graduated with a degree in marketing.
Yeah.
I use 0% of it.
Oh my God.
And I don't know how many thousands.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Thousands of dollars I put into getting a college education that was crushed in, a couple months of doing it on my own and trying to understand. Because oftentimes
happened?
they just, it's like, those that can't do teach.
Oh no.
Right? That's who we're being taught by, is all of the people that are doing the theory of it. So I learned all the theories of marketing, right? This is how you structure a marketing campaign, and here's like this list, and here's how you get eyes and attention. But nothing is like, hey, here's how you use Google ads, here's how you use Facebook ads, here's how you actually make people money. No, it's, hey, let's get some impressions, right? That's all my education was.
My jaw is on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm like incredulously upset.
A marketing degree that didn't teach you how to do meta ads.
No, 0.
Or use Google Analytics or anything like that.
Shut
Holy
up.
crap.
No. So they don't teach the actual tools. At least they didn't when, I was going to college.
Yeah.
I would hope that things are adjusting, but
Would sure hope so.
I mean, yeah, if you're going into business, entrepreneurship, anything like that, invest it into a mentor that knows what they're doing, that's actually doing what you want to do, that has the life that you want. And start testing things on your own.
What are we looking for in the tests? What's a hallmark, and what's things that you should not invest more in?
Yeah. Trying to figure out how to go about that without getting too technical. But you honestly could use ChatGPT to help you analyze and evaluate numbers. If you run the test, you want to look at impressions. You want to see like your click-through rate.
Let's boil this down. Facebook ad first.
Yeah.
Let's just say that's a Facebook ad. So you run your Facebook ad. Now you pull in the numbers. Now what am I looking for? Click-through rate. What was the other one?
Yeah, your impressions. You want to see, if it's not getting pushed out at all, that means that you have a crappy ad. Yeah. Right. So if you're not getting impressions, it means people don't want to see it. Right. Yeah. It's not engaging enough. So impressions, you got to start again at the top of the funnel. Impressions, and then we want to see how many of those impressions actually got clicks. So you want to look, it's kind of like every stage of the process. If people are watching the video but they're not clicking through, you're probably not in front of the right eyes. Okay. Right? Wrong audience because they're not interested because they're not clicking on it.
Okay, so they're watching it but they're not interested, so I'm targeting the wrong people in the ad setup. Okay.
Yep. So then, they're clicking on the ad but they're bouncing off the landing page. Is my landing page not congruent with the message that is on my ad? Right, so it's adjusting.
So it might even be as simple as like your fonts and colors don't match, and they think they're in the wrong spot.
It could be when you're at this stage with such a small budget. If you're going only $1,500, those kinds of tweaks are going to be very minimal.
Okay, what's the major biggest fix that you see? All
biggest thing is content. Always, it's keywords, right? So and on the Google ad side too, this is especially important. If your ad is talking about, water bottles, you're selling water bottles, and then it hits my landing page and I'm talking all about not the actual water, but just the bottle, the shape of the bottle. Well, maybe from the ad, I'm thinking, oh, they're selling like this really cool Iceland water, but then on the landing page, they're just talking about the shape of the bottle and like why the bottle's cool.
Oh, and you're like, that's not why I clicked.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Google's looking at that and saying, okay, you use these keywords here in your ad, you use these keywords on your landing page. Are they congruent? Are they matching the searcher's intent? And if not, then we're going to rank you lower. So there's like
Oh,
lots of these
that's
tiny little
crazy.
nuances that you need to understand. But, it's when you're spending, thousands, 10, 15, $20,000 in ad spend where it's like, okay, now we have enough budget to test the colors, to test the font, to test the placement of things.
So you shouldn't even be worried about that in the beginning if you're just starting.
No.
Then later on you're A/B split testing
right
colors.
content up that is action oriented, right? That captures attention. Some of the best performing landing pages look awful. They look absolutely
We have had this
terrible.
discussion so many times. You're like,
Yeah.
I hate the way that looks. And I'm like, but it works.
It
Like,
converts.
Leave it alone.
Who cares?
Leave
Yep.
it alone.
Blah.
Don't touch it.
Yep.
We're that way with an email. We have a particular email template that we send out that Marianne hates.
it.
She hates it.
It's so
But we've
ugly.
made more money from that
There you
email
go.
template than any other email template.
Yep.
I met the guy who invented Pringles,
Hmm.
and he also invented
That's
Jif,
cool.
by the way. So thank you. His name was Richard, actually.
That's cool.
Pringles and Jif. He hates the little mustache guy.
Really?
Hates him. He's like, I don't know why they put it on there. It's hideous. But I'm like, it sells
Worked.
Pringles.
Yep. Sure does. Yep.
Okay,
Stick
so
with
I
his
have a
work.
question for you on this. Well,
sir.
before we get too sidetracked with it. Okay, so you're saying that you need to make sure that your ad content is good enough that you're getting good impressions.
Mm-hmm.
What is good, right? Because you're paying Facebook to push this.
Yeah.
If you're not even if your ad is not even using its ad budget because your content sucks enough, like okay, you can't even pay Facebook to push your stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a whole other deal. But it's like, okay, I'm using my campaign budget.
Yep.
But is it enough? Am I getting enough impressions for this budget spend before I know that I'm ready to move on to testing other things? Is there like a certain ratio of like impressions to dollars spend that you're like, okay, we're there?
I wouldn't base that off of impressions. Again, at the end of the day, it's the sales that I'm concerned about. So I don't care if, I put out something and it got millions of impressions and it got $0. Bad ad, right? Restart. Something's wrong.
Okay.
So
That's like the same thing when you're a speaker
Mhm.
and they're in the room and the audience is like, oh my gosh, I loved your story, but nobody buys.
right. Yeah.
That's the
it's
same thing.
exactly the same thing. Yeah.
Ugh.
So like good for maybe, brand awareness. But I wouldn't base any decision of whether it's working or not working based off of the impressions unless they're like ridiculously low. Right? But I wouldn't worry about a ratio there.
Okay.
I love that. Clearly have so much more to learn from you because I'm just like, I'm absorbing all of these things. But I think my biggest takeaway from today is I know my niche, I know my expertise, but find something also that I love to do and do them together.
Yeah.
Especially if it makes a little bit less sense and just have fun with it. And God is smacking me in the face with this lesson all the time. Have more fun.
Yep.
Have more fun.
Yep.
Have more fun because and it's the energy that sells. It's not even the product.
Right.
It's the energy that sells. I want more of that feeling.
Right.
That's why people buy Lambos. That's why people buy helicopters.
Right.
That's why I'm describing Keaton now.
Yep.
Love it, bro. But that's why people get married. That's
Yep.
why people have kids is they want more of that.
Yep.
Not just dopamine. Now we're talking longevity
Totally. Yeah.
and overall
Right.
happiness.
Yep. And it's like the FOMO of it.
Yeah.
Right. If you can create FOMO in your brand, that's what people want to come back and see. Have you seen Mean Girls?
Oh yeah.
So I always talk about like you need to be the Regina George, right? It doesn't matter what she does, what the trend is, and you mentioned trending audio and stuff and how you've implemented it and it doesn't work. It's because like Regina George, right? They cut out the holes in her shirt and she wears it and she's like, oh, and then everybody else wears it. It's because it's Regina George,
Yeah.
not because of the shirt.
Yeah.
If some other person wore that shirt, be like, that is really weird. Weird person, right?
Yeah.
So you have to become the Regina George, create the FOMO in your brand,
Yeah.
and then people want to be part of it. They want to know what you're doing. They want to know what's next, what's coming up.
At the same time, what you've done for me today is you've taken this high pressure of do something different, stand out, find out how you're unique, and you've transformed it into relief.
Yeah.
Of I can just be myself
Oh, yeah.
because I love who I am. I
Yeah.
love the woman I'm becoming. And if I do more of that instead of making sure I have it all right, which I didn't even think I was doing. I didn't think I was susceptible to this because I know better.
Yeah.
But, and I hope that when you're listening to this and you whatever your golden nugget is, I want to know it. I want you to share that in the chat. I want you to share that in the comments. I don't want you to get overwhelmed with all the things we need to do when you're talking meta ads and all this. And like, you're clearly an expert, but here's what I want you to get from Becca is the one thing that you can do in the next 10 minutes to make yourself a more fun entrepreneur, to have more fun at work, maybe throw a camera up in front of it. But what is the one thing that you can do in the next 10 minutes to next level your content and have more fun doing what you do? And I want you to throw that in the comments because you might just inspire the next person.
100%.
What would be, God forbid, I like asking this question, but God forbid, if you lost the ability to communicate with planet Earth tomorrow, what would the message be that you wanted to leave behind?
I think the biggest thing for me is understanding that we are children of the most powerful being literally in the universe. And so if you ever think that you can't do something, you are literally the child of the most powerful being in the universe. And you think you can't do something, you can't figure out, how to get your marketing dollars, you can't figure out how to 10x your business. It's BS. You absolutely can. Everything you need is inside of you if you believe that, and then you go do it. Go get after it. That 100%. I mean, by far, that's what drives me. That's what gives me purpose is understanding that and wanting to grow into that. I have another big saying on my wall that says pending perfection.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I'm getting there and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there, but I'm not there yet. So I'm going to fail as fast as I can, knowing that I have innate godly traits that I can do whatever I want.
That's beautiful. Didn't know you were going to go that direction. You just inspired the hell out of me.
Good.
Thank you.
Of course.
Friends, I want you to go check out Becca. Where can people find you? If they want to hang out more with you, if they want to learn from you, where do they find you?
Yeah. Just on my Instagram page is the Becca Tilley, or marketing stuff is Axiom Marketing is the agency name. But reach out to me on social. 100%. You need marketing advice? I jump on calls, one-on-one calls with people all the time. You need help? You want me to audit some stuff for you? Whatever. Happy to help.
I
Look
love
at everything.
that. The pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Get with Becca. We're going to put all of that in the show notes. So if you're listening and maybe you're driving or you're like me, you're in the sauna where you're listening to your podcast, or maybe you're out in your garden, in the show notes, go grab it, go connect with Becca and have her look through your business for you. It's so generous of you to offer to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And just audit things. It's kind of scary. You're marketing naked, and just see everything. But listen, you're in business because you've at first believed in something. And I'm a big believer that your brilliance deserves to be monetized so you can keep doing more of what you love. I think that's the biggest flex you can have.
Love it.
Thank you for being here, Becca.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Guys, this is it for this episode of the Marianne Hickman Show. If you love what you're seeing, let me know in the comments, and we will see you in the next episode.
Hey, what's up? Marianne Hickman here. Hey, listen, I hope you enjoyed that episode. We have some pretty amazing speakers on my podcast, and of course, more to come. If this is something that you enjoyed, guys, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. You guys know what to do. I love your comments, and I respond to every single one of them personally, not a bot or an agency. So if this is something you're enjoying, tell me about it. Tell me your gold nuggets. I want to hear from you. But here's the most important thing I want you to laser in on. I told you about the podcast database. You've probably seen me post about it all over social media. I want to make sure that you get it. So here's what I want you to do. Go to mariannehickman.com/database. Once you put all of your information in there, I'm going to send you the document. You request access to it. Boom, it's unlocked. Once you're in there, my rule of thumb is to apply to 10 podcasts a month. It's very digestible. It's very easy to do. And the database gets updated twice a week. So I want you constantly checking back in there for the next podcast that fits your audience. Thank you for being here. Much love to you, and we'll see you in the next episode.